All right, everybody, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie. Favorite breakdowns, film breakdowns on YouTube every single week, Wednesday and Saturday. It's going to be an interesting week for us this week because we got the game tomorrow. So, but we're here for you guys. We're going to give you a little bit of both. We're going to be breaking down the Colts loss that everybody's pretty upset about. It was blowout 44-27. It wasn't very clean game at all. Led to a firing of a defensive coordinator. So we get into that, and we'll be previewing the Chargers this week. So it's gonna be a split show this week. So make sure you hit subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter. Hit the like button too. Hit likes. You need them likes. You need the engagements, right? Hit the like button too. Subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL on Twitter, and follow BD at BD Williams 18. All right. So like I said, it's gonna be a mixed show, so we're gonna be getting you guys ready for the Chargers game tomorrow too, as well, and we're gonna be going over this loss to the Indianapolis Colts, which was a pretty ugly defensive performance. I mean, the offense tried to do what they could do, but they had a lot of red zone issues, which I'm gonna be getting into. I mean, today's all about red zone for me and offense. So we're gonna be talking about that, and then the defense just didn't show up at all. So
Yeah.
how you feeling, BD? How you feeling this week?
Yeah, man, I'm good. No complaints from me, other than obviously the Raiders blowing it
Yeah.
here down the stretch. It's unfortunate to watch that unfold. The one saving grace, I would say, is how you talked me off a ledge last week about playoff chances. Raiders are
Yeah.
still technically mathematically in it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm trying to remain optimistic. There's only so much you can be optimistic, especially when my job is watching the defense, But I feel like
Yeah.
both sides of the ball have seen some hiccups. Obviously, not as much on the offensive side of the ball, but there's been enough
Yeah.
there to cause for some concern, I would say. So I'm glad you're going to break that down. But here I'll just jump right into
Yeah.
it. The burning question on
Okay.
everyone's mind
Yeah. Let's
is
go.
what is Marinelli going to bring to the team? Now, the difference between Marinelli and Guenther, there are differences, but you're not going to want to hear this, Raider Nation. There's more similarities schematically than differences. Now, uh, Marinelli, this is back in 2016. He likes to stunt his defensive line, especially when his defense isn't too high. He likes to stunt, and this is called a pirate stunt, okay, where you have the defensive end and the defensive tackle cross facing, stealing a gap over, and the linebacker adjusting on the outside. This is something that Marinelli likes to do. And guess what? Raiders have done this plenty already this year. Okay, so and they did it before Marinelli was even here with Paul Guenther. Again, this is a pirate stunt, uh, and it kind of helps muddle the reads. Now, the reason why you do a pirate stunt, you want to be in too high. There's 7 gaps, and when you're in too high, there's only 6 defenders. And you see Eric Harris there, but he drops out, and you want to be able to defend 7 gaps with 6 players. And so when you do a pirate stunt, also the defensive tackle will be the looper, the edge contain player. And it's something that Marinelli has done, and it's something that the Raiders have been doing. So I don't see any differences there. Now, if you watch any of these shows, the Raiders like to do single high blitzes on rundowns to stop the run. Okay, the Raiders have done that, and this is something that Marinelli has done as well in his time in his career. So I don't think that you're going to see many differences there on that front. Um, that I would say that that's probably the majority of blitzes that Marinelli calls are actually run blitzes. Anyways, he likes to rush the passer with 4 generally, or even 3 sometimes. I would say the biggest difference is Marinelli doesn't have as strong tendencies as Paul Guenther. Paul Guenther, it's first down, they're probably in cover 1. Obvious rundowns, they're blitzing a guy off the edge, single high blitz. Second down, it's like almost always cover 2. There's like very strong tendencies with Paul Guenther's defense, and you'll see a lot of change-ups, a lot more change-ups at least with Marinelli. When he wants to be in single high, he'll go between cover 3 and cover 1 pretty evenly, whereas Paul Guenther, he was always cover 1. Very rarely would it be cover 3. Cover 3 would be like a change-up, whereas Marinelli, he likes to do both of those, equally to, keep the offense on their heels when he wants 8 men in the box. And then the other thing is Marinelli really likes to get into dime and rush 3 guys and some obvious passing situations. And, the Raiders probably exclusively have done this in like third and very long situations. But Marinelli will do it on a third and short because he's not worrying about the pass rush getting there with only 3 guys rushing on third and short because the ball is probably going to come out really quick. So he's done some interesting things where, he's having linebackers drop. They're dropping 8. They're playing man coverage. They're double covering guys. They're trying to get brackets on certain players, knowing that the ball is going to come out hot. But so from a schematic standpoint, Marinelli even said it in his press conference today. There's not a lot you can change. At this point, it's a short week, A. B, it's like late in the year. Okay. All these players are hurt on defense. Like, how much can you really change schematically? So don't count on the scheme changing. The scheme is going to stay the same. The biggest thing, okay, and I talked about this when I talk to high school coaches, when I talk, offline to people about football. You can have a great scheme, but that means nothing if you can't get off blocks and you can't tackle, right? Like, who cares? Who cares if you have like the most cutting edge modern NFL defense scheme, yada, yada, yada. If your defensive linemen can't get off blocks, if your linebackers aren't tackling guys when it's their turn to tackle, then who cares how good your scheme is, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, if Marinelli being the messenger to this defense, getting these guys to have a little bit more discipline out there and doing their job the right way. Hopefully we see, some of these run defensive problems get shored up just simply by not even schematically, just get guys just having the effort and the hustle to defeat their blocks and get that ball carrier down on the field. So that's what I'm looking forward to as far as like the differences and like the change from Guenther to Marinelli is just more of an emphasis on the fundamentals, the actual fundamentals of football. So we'll see if that can happen under Marinelli now that the defense, is in his hands. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think they're gonna be playing some of these same run rules they have? Do you think they're gonna change that up a little bit, like against some? Because the Colts did the same thing that the Jets did, which was like, I don't know. You probably watched it. I mean, they got them out of position kind of the same way that the Jets did. I mean, even that one big play to Jonathan Taylor, they messed with Nick Kawakowski because the left tackle, he did a pass set while they were running the football, which then had Kawakowski taking their passing. And then, do you feel like some of those rules are going to be stay the same? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's something that, like, if they're reading their keys and their keys are aligned to them, you can't change that
Yeah,
at this point in the season. I would
yeah,
say that, a lot of these runs that we've been seeing this week, Jets game, Falcons game, now this Colts game, is just linebackers just simply not defeating blocks. Like, they are just getting blocked. Kwiatkowski, Littleton, especially, those are
yeah.
going to be the guys that are out there. Morrow's been doing a great job, but he's on concussion protocol. It's very doubtful that he even plays. I mean, he'll probably be downgraded to out very soon after this podcast is recorded. But yeah, those two
Okay.
guys have been really struggling just defeating blocks, and so I don't think that there's anything wrong with their keys. I just think that there's problem with their technique, getting around blockers, going backdoor on blockers way too much, and yeah, so hopefully that's something that Marinelli addresses, and gets those guys to just sack up for the last couple weeks of the season and really do it do their damnedest, have their best effort to just not get blocked as easily as they have been. I said this a little bit before. I don't think anything's wrong with Paul Guenther's scheme. I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think that where you always saw breakdowns is guys being out of place, guys having bad technique, guys having bad situational awareness about football, and that does come down to him. He is the main, guy in charge of the defense, and when consistently there's just bad situational awareness, consistently there's lack of adjustment, which is on the coach, obviously. But you want to have some play. You want to have players have the tools in their toolbox to be able to make some adjustments out there. But I don't think anything was actually wrong. Like, it wasn't like the most modern, cutting edge NFL scheme of all time under Paul Guenther. But at the same time, I don't think anything was wrong with it. And many times when you're seeing blown plays, it was like, it's, what is it, John Abram freelancing. It's corners not squeezing down in cover two and letting guys run free, to the inside. Whatever it is, it was just bad technique more than anything. And that does fall on Paul Guenther. I'm not giving him a pass by saying that there's nothing wrong with his scheme there, but there's definitely something wrong with the details. And so that's what I'm looking forward to most. If Marinelli can just make these things a little bit more concise. Everyone says they're going to simplify. Hopefully they simplify under Marinelli. Yeah, that probably will be at least close to what happens. But more than anything, just getting back to like the fundamentals of football, and making guys continue to improve these last 3 weeks in terms of what their coverage assignments are, what their hand usage is on the defensive line, et cetera, et cetera. And without worrying about now going wholesale change to the scheme, because that's just too big of an ask. You can ask guys to improve their footwork. You can ask guys to improve their eyes. You can't ask guys to learn a new playbook with 3 weeks left in the season. So
yeah. I mean, I think that, they're going to probably keep the same defense, and I think Rod Marinelli is not that much different. Guenther is a too high guy. Marinelli is a too high guy. Even when he was in Dallas, he was too high. They ran a lot of cover two, man, quarters, all that type of stuff. So, it's similar. It's not that much different. But what I think that he's gonna. I think the defensive line is probably gonna play a little better. And people are like, well, he's the D line coach. Yeah, yada yada yada. But I think he's gonna call better situations, better stunts and situations that are gonna get more pressure. And I think because I think that's one thing that he's always done when he was the play caller, was have great stunts in certain situations, and because even the last couple of years in Dallas, he wasn't the passing game coordinator, right? He didn't set up the coverage, but the actual stunts and calls, he was making those, and that's where you saw like Malik Collins and those guys eat. That's where you saw like DeMarcus Lawrence, and they would eat on stunts all day. If you go back to the Saints game in 2018, man, that's all they did was stunt the Saints, and they just kept stunning them, right? And then just got the Saints all confused. And I think that he's a good play caller that way. He's timely with his stunts and things like that, and I think that's going to be a little different. I know people think I'm crazy because of how the D line sucks, and it's been so bad this year with pressure and stuff. He's the coach, but I think sometimes him coaching the D line and then him calling the defensive plays is different, in my opinion. Yeah. I think that's going to happen.
Right. I definitely follow you there. 100%. That was something that when I went back before this season, when they hired him, I went and did a deep dive on their defense. So I'm already kind of pretty well versed in Marinelli defense. Anyways, that's definitely something I noticed, is that his stunts were very advanced, much more advanced than what the Raiders had been running.
Yeah.
And to your point about him sharing the kind of like the play calling duties, that's why in the breakdowns that I showed, I was only showing 2016 Dallas Cowboy defense.
Yeah.
Before Chris Richard came on, and then they kind of like did a co-defensive coordinator kind of setup.
Yeah.
So that all that stuff that I was showing you, to anyone that is wondering and and saying, "Oh, but Chris Richard really called the plays." That wasn't from 2018 or 2019. That was from 2016. So this is all Marinelli's defense, what I was showing you, and that's why I think that they are very similar. Because if you just look at the Chris Richard years, it's a lot of cover three.
Yeah.
And so it's not like from on the back end, it's not as similar to Paul Guenther. But if you go back to 2016 and before with Marinelli, it is very similar.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because I mean, I remember going back to watch a Matthew Stafford game against the Cowboys, and he had Matthew Stafford all confused with some of the coverages, and it's not really he's not as what I would say he's not as Guenther. Like it just seems simpler, and they play faster, I guess, when you watch it. It's not as complex. I mean, it's easy. I mean, back in 2017, I was more of a novice get into some of these plays and stuff. I could kind of feel like I was what was going on back then. So, I think it's gonna be good for them to play faster. That's all. I think that's all that's gonna happen. I don't think the scheme is gonna be different, but I think they're gonna play faster. I think he's gonna keep it simpler. I think he's not gonna try to get too exotic. Basically, what I'm saying with his play calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this offense. You know what I mean? This is offense and what we saw. And like I said, I'm going to talk about the red zone because I mean they were able to move the ball. We all saw it. They can't run the ball. I get you guys. I mean, you guys don't understand that. But we're ready to talk about that too. We're going to talk about everything here and try to see what's going on here with the red zone issue. So, yeah, I mean, Raiders got in the red zone 3 times. Against the Colts, actually only 4 times because in garbage time. So, I mean, well, but during when the game was close, they got in there 3 times, kicked 2 field goals, and had an interception. So let's talk about it. So the main thing in the red zone is you want to run the football. So we see this crack block right here, and Jacobs, he's got a shot to hit this hole, but then you see the crack block blocks Rodney Hudson and frees the defensive lineman, which Jacobs does not see. This should be a big gain here if this doesn't happen, but that closes the hole up. And, you know, that's exactly what's happening there. Bring it back a little bit. You see it one more time. That should be a big play. He's following Trent Brown out there. There's nothing there just because of that. And, you know, this is this whole sequence is you know, we're leading up. This is the first red zone sequence, right? So this is 2nd and 10, right? This is 2nd and 10 on that same sequence. Talk about running the ball in the red zone. So we see here we got outside zone, but we got Jacobs. He doesn't follow Ingold, right? And doesn't go off tackle. I really think he needs to go off tackle on this play because if he goes off tackle, he has a big gain. But he hits the cutback because there was a little bit of a cutback lane, and there's nothing there for him there. So I mean, the Raiders, they got to be able to run the ball in the red zone. I mean, that's the point. If you can't run the ball in the red zone, it's tougher to pass because it's such a tight area. You have to run the football in the red zone, and the Raiders can't run the football right now. So it's not going to look pretty in the red zone just because of that, right? So let's go and set up the big interception in the red zone, right? So, you know, we know if you guys watch the show, you know what double China 7 is. If you watch this show, you know what it is. The Raiders love to run this in the red zone. See here, Ruggs doesn't get his feet down, but it was there. You see here with Aguilar with the same play we showed last week off the blitz. Carr had to throw it back leg. He can't get the double China 7. So now let's bring it to back here against the Colts here. So we got the same look, double China 7, 3-by-1, same look. Let's bring it back a little bit. So we got the same look, double China 7, right? 3-by-1. But the Colts are going to play this a little interesting, okay? So you stop right here. Derek Carr thinks he's got Darren Waller one-on-one with the linebacker based off the man-to-man coverage. He thinks he's got it, right? So he's ready to throw this football. But the Colts do a little man match, and they switch, right? So the linebacker, he's taking the under. Kenny Moore takes the corner. Then he just makes this. I can't believe he made that. I can't believe he made that catch. But, you know, that goes back to how you go back a little bit, you see like if you run the same play over and over again, right? And you know, a lot of teams run double China 7. So these guys see this stuff on tape. I mean, they're going to pick these balls off. And Derek Carr was just confused, just fooled there. He had no idea what was going on. If you see this backside, you watch his motion, you can kind of see where he was like, uh-oh, after you do this football. Like, oh, I didn't. Oh, picked off. So it it's tough, man. It's that play was tough, but I mean, when you're predictable, you get a little predictable. So, and then we got the outside zone. They try to run the ball. Next drive in the red zone, Rodney Hudson's get beat. Outside zone gets blown up. Nothing, nothing there. Can't run the ball in the red zone. You got to run the ball. Raiders can't do it right now. Then, I mean, then they got to make these tough catches too in the red zone. So we got the slant flat right here called Dragon in West Coast, right? Aguilar, he doesn't win off the line. He can't come down with the football. Now, it's really hard to tell if he dropped that ball, if it was knocked down. It's so close, and then CBS camera angle didn't give it to us on the camera because I don't know what they were doing with the replays. But you see it back in. I really think, I mean, even with the tight coverage, I mean, he had an opportunity to at least try to make a tough catch there. But I mean, we can't really tell if that's knocked down there. But and we got the next drive, right? The next drive, we got smash concept here, and Derek Carr opens to his right. But Waller, he doesn't really run a good route on the post route, so he has to come off that. If Carr went to the left side, to Aguilar's side, he probably had Aguilar, but he chose Waller that time. There was nothing there. I mean, it was just nothing. So, I mean, Darren Waller, he has to run a better route here. So we'll bring it back. We'll watch it one more time. He's got to run a better route here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's got to sell that corner. I mean, Rocky Sin he doesn't move Rocky Sin at all. Nassim Aguilar does get open. Nothing there. So nothing there in the red zone. And then this play is kind of frustrating because, West Coast offense, so you go by the look, you pick a side, right? So he's, Derek Carr, instead of going to the Darren Waller side, which Waller does end up being open on this play, he goes to Aguilar side based on the coverage. Aguilar doesn't win. Since Aguilar doesn't win, it's a short, right? And if your quarterback's trusting you like that, right? You really got to win here. You got to win. I mean, and maybe you put somebody different in there. And I know they're leaning on Nelson Aguilar right now, and he's having a good season. But man, I mean, he's got to win there, and he doesn't. And it's a short route. There's nothing there for this team. So the red zone, they were just really, really. It's a struggle for the Raiders. I mean, I think it's a struggle for John Gruden to especially in passing concepts. I mean, he's not getting very creative down there, and I think everything's kind of been seen already this year. And if you get repetitive down there, you get late in the season, you got smart teams like the Colts. Like the Colts are not dumb on defense. That's one thing they are. Like they really do. I mean, a lot of people talk about the Raiders don't have any blue chippers, but I mean, yeah, the Colts have DeForest Buckner, and I understand that. Yeah, they have DeForest Buckner, but other than that, man, they ain't got no huge blue chippers on that team. But they are smart. And if you come out in a 3-by-1 in the same look that you've been coming out for with all types of tape, those plays, there's more plays of that double China 7 look from the red zone that I didn't show. Like there's one in the Patriots that I remember. I think they did it against the Saints, but Carr went the other side. Like there's all types of looks there that like the Colts are going to be like, okay, so this double China 7. Okay, so we're probably gonna get the corner route. If 3 comes in my area, Kenny Moore's like, okay, I'm gonna drop. If 3 comes over the top of me in a corner route, and that's it. And they made the play. I mean, but and how many teams run double China 7 in those areas? That's a huge red zone play too. So if you're a smart team and you're Kenny Moore and one of those guys, you're gonna do that anyways because you've watched so much tape and you're so prepared that you're ready for those type of things. So it's they're going to need to be better in the red zone. But I think the main thing they got to do in the red zone, they got to run the football. And they got to find a way to get better running the football. And I think this week is going to be different because the Chargers can't stop the run at all. So hopefully they can run the ball in the red zone this week because you really can't depend on the pass in the red zone. That's the main thing that I'm trying to get here. That if you are trying to depend on the pass, and you see the Chiefs, like I think the Chiefs are a great example of this because they're so bad in the red zone. Chiefs are below the Raiders in the red zone this year, and the reason why is because they don't have a big runner that can finish drives in the red zone, so they depend on explosive plays because of that. So since they depend on explosive plays because of that, they're not as good in the red zone as you would think the Chiefs are. But that's what you got to do. That's the most important thing in the red zone is running the football, and the Raiders got to get back to that this week for sure.
You think have you seen like many tendency breakers as far as like their red zone, like double moves or things that look at first like looks like they've given, but then end up being not? Yeah, have you seen that so far on tape this year?
Not really, man. I mean, the only one is probably the jerk routes with sometimes it's corner, sometimes it's post. Um,
Mm.
so that's the only thing I can think of. But I mean, besides that, man, it's really nothing crazy that you would think of. So um, yeah, I can't think of one. I can't think of like a play that I didn't see 2 years ago because that's what I'm saying. He's one of the same red zone plays he ran 2 years ago to me. I mean, it's the same ones that I've been charting for the longest. I mean, you know how I feel about the jerk route play. Like, like just stop it, you know. But I mean, he didn't run that this week. But he might run that. He might run this against the Chargers. So um, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting how they approve in the red zone here because I think they're going to need it, especially with Ruggs out. They're going to have to find a way to have some longer drives because they're not going to have as many explosive plays. I mean, I know Nelson Aguilar's still out there, but they're going to need some more explosive plays
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, a lot of people are down on the defense, and rightly so. Defense deserves like the vast majority of the blame here.
Hmm.
This Raiders slide. But then when you look at the offense, like they haven't been able really to go score for score with a team since they beat down the Broncos.
Hmm.
Maybe you want to count the Chiefs game, but like they're all these other losses that we've seen, offense has been struggling at times. And it's a long enough stretch of them struggling in games or just not being able to produce at all, like against the Falcons. That like the defense again deserves the majority of the blame, but the offense, it's not like the offense is like scoring 30 and the defense is giving up 40. Like the
Yeah,
offense hasn't been humming like it has been in the beginning of the year. So, and that just goes back to what you're saying about the predictability of it.
yeah, exactly. So um, it's going to be. I don't know what they're going to do because I mean John Gruden hasn't been good in the red zone since like 2001. So I mean I'm not a like I don't know if it's ever going to get better. I can't really explain it. I don't think I mean he'd have to have a quarterback that was like an extreme like playmaker that would just kind of make up for his play calls. They'd have to
Yeah.
roll out and make plays or run for a touchdown or things like that. It would have to be somebody that would be able to make up for it, which Carr has been doing for some parts of the season, but I mean, lately he hasn't been able to make up for it. He hasn't been able to make up for the play call that ends up being dead. Because I mean, sometimes like the smash concept play, like Waller doesn't win, nobody wins, then you know it doesn't happen. I mean, also I think like he has. I mean, Waller's way better on like running a slant or anything like that. Like, I mean, he's way better person to be running on that 3-by-1 slant they ran with Nelson Aguilar. I mean, you probably should be running that with Waller because he's a little bit better on those routes instead of trying to run corner routes with him, which is I mean, obviously he's not the most wiggless guy, but when he's kind of coming off the line against press, he does have a little bit of shaking him when he's running choice routes and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it might be personnel too. Like whose number are you calling? Like when you call on you're calling, Darren Waller's number on the the double China 7. I mean, should you be calling like Aguilar's number like you were earlier in the season, or maybe even Ruggs? Should you be calling those guys' numbers? So I mean, it's a little different coverage look. He doesn't maybe did not get as much attention as Waller gets. Um, so I think it's that too. Like whose number are we calling in the red zone? Like who do we trust to get touchdowns?
Yeah.
And a lot of good red zone teams. I mean, they have go-to guys. Like
Right.
you know, but a lot of the best red zone teams run the football, like the Titans, the Browns, all those guys, all those the best red zone teams that you see that get in the red zone and they score, they run the football. So That's the big missing key. Like we can talk about the passing concepts all day, but they need to be able to run the football too. So
Yeah, I'm with you there.
yeah.
All right, so how about we transition? You tell us about this upcoming opponent.
All right. So first thing got to do against Chargers, they just got to get the running game back here. I mean, they were able to run the ball very effectively on the Chargers. It was an easy. I mean, this is basically what they did all game on the Chargers, is run the football on them, and see the pin pull sweeps here. This was a big run for them. The pin pull sweep that they ran a lot caused a lot of touchdowns. See Devin Booker here getting outside on the pin pull sweep. So this was a nice run that they ran here, and then we see it run it on the opposite way, and they were getting out in space. Big blocks everywhere. So I mean, the Chargers they can't they struggle stopping the run against everybody. It's their thing that they've been struggling with all year, and they have a big high powered offense, but it's easier to keep the ball away from them when they can't stop the run, because even Josh Jacobs gets in on it and the pin pull sweeps. So it's a short week, so I expect the Raiders to kind of stick with the game plan they had before, because I think the Chargers are going to do that, because I mean they don't have a lot of time to game plan. So I think the game plan is going to be a little same. But you'll see here the Bills aren't a running team, and they were able to run the ball all over the Chargers. So it was definitely something the Raiders have to do. They have to just come out and try to run the football and punch them in the mouth. And I think they got to attack downfield on these guys. And I know they don't have Henry Ruggs right now, but I think that's something they got to focus on, is they got to attack downfield, and they got to be consistent, because last time they played the Chargers, there was a lot of man-to-man coverage, and they were able to exploit some of this and make some plays. And this is the deep ball to Nelson Aguilar you got here. And I know you guys all remember this play, but I mean, this is one of the best throws from Carr all year. Definitely a great route, great stack. And Nelson Aguilar made a play against Casey Hayward. So, but they had those opportunities to make these plays, and we're going to see a lot of them this week if they have the opportunity. They got to be able to take shots downfield, and they can't be scared of this Chargers defense. It is very, very leaky at this point. I mean, it's not the greatest defense in the world. I mean, they've been playing okay. They have their spurts. They got a good pass rush, but if you can hold the line, I mean, they got Trent Brown back. The Cole Miller's playing at a really, really high level. If the line can hold up, I mean, they held up pretty well the previous meeting, and that was with Brandon Parker and Sam Young. So, I mean, the line is back. Everybody's healthy. It should be a better game and more time for Carr to be able to attack downfield. And I think that's got to be a big key this week, is just to make sure that they can attack downfield and do things very well. So I think that's what the mindset has to be, is to be able to run the ball, play action, attack downfield, and I think hold this pass rush a little bit, hold the pass rush back a little bit, make some plays downfield, and get vertical and exploit this defense. And I think they'll be able to do that. I think it's not going to be that hard to do it itself. I mean, even here with Jarrett Stidham, look at this, guy's just running wide open, fake screen. That's Jarrett Stidham. You know what I mean? It's not even Cam Newton. They're getting big plays with Jarrett Stidham. So, I think, I mean, I think that's the main game plan this week, is they got to get the running game going here. I think somehow they got to be able to run the football. I mean, the Chargers can't stop the run. I mean, that's the main thing the Chargers can't do right now, is stop the run. And so if the Raiders come out and they punch him in the mouth like they did the time before, and they were so effective, I mean, they barely had the ball last time, and they barely passed the football. They had 23 passes. They ran the ball all over them, and they had 31 points running the football and all that stuff. So, I think that's got to be the game plan this week, is just get back to running the football, get those pin pull sweeps going, try to see if they're ready for it. I mean, if they're ready for it, they're ready for it. But they weren't ready for it last time. It's a short week. They don't have a lot of time to put in these exotic game plans right now. It's going to be pretty basic. It's going to be basically what we saw before, right? I mean, it's basically what we're going to be seeing. So I don't expect anything different or crazy this week. I think we're going to see the same. We're going to see the same kind of game plans that we saw before, I believe, on both sides of the football.
And I think the Raiders had a really good game plan from the offensive perspective last time that these guys met, because the way that the Chargers defense is structured on the back end, they like to play a lot of single high. It's really tough to throw down the field between the numbers against
Yeah.
this team. And even Carr struggled. He was 2 for 7 on deep balls, and the only ones that he was able to complete were on the outside, where the corners are essentially one on one, whether they're in zone, whether they're in man. Usually they are in zone, but the safety isn't going to be able to get from the middle of the field over to help them out. So that's where the shots need to be taken, is on the outside. Aguilar had a good game last time. Even Hunter Renfro had a big catch up the sideline last time around. So the Raiders had a good game plan. If you look at the teams that they've played since, they get a lot of interceptions in the middle of the field. Okay, this defense. So if they want to try a deep down the middle shot, it's gonna have to come off of play action. It's gonna have to get some of these guys, in run pass conflicts before they try to throw it down the middle of the field. But I would say, hopefully, we don't see the Raiders try to do that too much, because that's where this defense does their best work in coverage, is in the middle of the field. They want to defend the middle of the field first, make you throw outside. So the Raiders were able to have some success last time around doing that. And then the other thing that I'll note too is, at least for the Raiders offense, last time around, they didn't have to go up against Joey Bosa. Granted, they had it was like Brandon Parker and Sam Young who are starting at tackle. So they have their starting tackles back, but they are going against probably top 2 defensive end in the NFL in Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
So that's going to be that's going to be the game within the game. Joey Bosa rushes from both sides. He's the one player in that defensive front who consistently is able to stop the run. And then obviously we all know he's a terror when it comes to sacking the quarterback. He's one of the best in the game doing that. So that's going to be, what kind of game plan do the Raiders have for trying to handle a guy like Joey Bosa while running the ball, while taking some shots on the outside? It's going to be probably a tougher task than it was last time. But we'll see if Trent Brown, maybe he's got his legs underneath him. Hopefully Josh Jacobs is, not too banged up from last time around. I know that I think he might have hurt his ankle against the Colts. Hopefully, on this short week, he's been able to rehab and do that, because they got to run the ball against this team. This team is built to defend the pass.
Yeah.
Their interior defensive linemen are pass rushers. Their outside guys are pass rushers. They're not the best at stopping the run. And a lot of teams have been able to take advantage. Like, they gave up 170 yards rushing against the Bills. Bills aren't even a running team.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even want to run the ball, and they gave up 170
Yeah.
yards rushing to the Bills. They gave up, a whole bunch of yards rushing to Miami, Patriots. All these teams have been able to run the ball on them. So that's definitely where the Raiders have, that's where they need to hang their hat this game. Control the clock. Don't let that defense get out there too much, because they're in flux right now, and help them out on offense by controlling the ball, running the ball down their throats, eating time off the clock. And as far as the defense goes, I'll transition into that, and unless you had any more points.
No, man. It's simple to me. Just smash them punch them in the face. I mean, it's basically.
Yeah. Right. That's like that Nate Diaz quote when they asked him what his plan was. Going into a fight, and Nate Diaz was like, "I'm gonna punch this guy in the face. I'm gonna kick him in the face. What do you mean? Like, my plan."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully they get that Nate Diaz mentality. But yeah, so I'll talk about what the defense needs to do. So in the 5 games since the Raiders and the Chargers met, the Chargers have only been able to gain 100 yards rushing one time in the 5 games since they've met. And so this is not a team that runs the ball well or effectively. It's not really where they even hang their hat on offense. They are not a great run blocking team. They're not a great running team. Okay, their rushing attack is not good. So obviously the Raiders have been struggling defending the run. But that's something that they need to get back to, because this is going to be probably the easiest team to defend, running the ball wise that they'll
Mhm.
see. Miami's not great. Denver's probably not great, but they're probably better than the Chargers are running the ball. So gotta be able to stop the run this week. That's the one thing. And then if we like Justin Herbert, he's had a great rookie year, but his play has tailed off in the last few weeks, right? It's not, it wasn't the like that game against Buccaneers earlier on in the season. It was just like, wow, this guy's the goods, right? And then, we've seen, a regression to the mean, and which is can be expected when you're a rookie quarterback in the NFL. And he's taken 12 sacks in the last 5 games since he saw the Raiders. And he's a guy who thinks he can make every throw. He's a guy with some mobility. Raiders were able to get him on the ground twice with Max Crosby and Carl Nassib. So this is the week. He's going to hold on to the ball. He's going to try to wait for things to happen. He's not one of these quarterbacks who's just going to be like catch, pitch. He's going to be a guy who wants to extend the play. So the Raiders are going to have to take advantage of that. He's taken a lot of sacks in these last 5 weeks. And then also he's thrown 5 interceptions. So he's basically thrown an interception every game since he's seen the Raiders. And again, he's a rookie. He's going to make some mistakes. So that's something that the Raiders are going to have to capitalize on. Just playing fast. Hopefully the scheme is simplified when they are out there. Everyone's doing their jobs. Hopefully we see that improvement from Guenther taking over as far as everyone doing their jobs and everyone playing faster, and hopefully that results in an interception because the Raiders have 3 young quarterbacks that they're seeing for the rest of the way here. Tua, they're going to see Tua Tagovailoa next week. They're going to see probably Drew Lock again, right?
Yeah.
So that's they're seeing young quarterbacks. Got to take advantage. Got to be able to, get that ball production because these young quarterbacks, they're going to put the ball in harm's way. Justin Herbert's no exception. So that's something that the Raiders are going to have to do on defense. Get back to, causing those turnovers like they have been previous to this Colts game.
Yeah. Herbert has been struggling a little bit the past couple of weeks. He's definitely tailing off. He's hitting that what they call the rookie wall. That's what they're calling it. I think he's kind of hit that rookie wall. I think teams are starting to figure out what his tendencies are basically. That's what happens when you get hot, when you get later on in the season. You got to be able to adjust to how teams are playing you, and teams are playing them a little different, and you start to make a little bit of mistakes. And the Patriots game, he was awful. He wasn't really good against the Falcons either. So he's definitely tailed off a little bit. But this Raiders defense, we've had some teams that we felt like were tailing off, and they cave in and look pretty impressive. So
I know.
So it's hard to judge whether this is the defense.
I think oftentimes you'll see a coaching change be made, and you'll see, at least for like that first initial week after that coaching change, that group, whether it's offensive coordinator got fired or the defensive coordinator got fired, whatever that side of the ball is,
yeah,
you'll see like an initial like surge of like energy and effort and things like that. So hopefully that's what the Raiders show on Thursday night. And the other thing I'll note is, being a rookie, preparing for an NFL game at this point, Justin Herbert would be, preparing for a bowl game. He'd have weeks off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now he has, only, a couple days of practice before he has to get right back in there and play an NFL game on a Thursday night. So that's going to be a challenge for Justin Herbert. He's a smart guy. He's a hard worker, and he's a good player. So I'm not saying he's not up to the challenge, but it's definitely gonna be something to keep your eye on if he is really like as prepared for this game as he would be for some other games that have an actual proper week. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully this short week hurts the Chargers more than it hurts the Raiders, but that's just me being That's just me being an optimist.
Yeah, you're the optimist this week, huh? You're the optimist this week. I was last week. As I was saying, like, I mean, the Raiders got to win this game, though. I mean, this is important. They win this game, they got to stay in the playoff hunt. So they win this game, they got to go take care of business, and then you got to start praying. I mean, I'm go Giants right now. Go Giants. Giants beat the Browns. Go Giants. We got go Patriots. So you know what I mean. Win this game, and then this week we could root for the Patriots. I know. All right, Raiders fans. Okay, we're not rooting for the Patriots. All right, I get it. But if they win, we could be like, okay, well, it was nice of you guys to do that for us.
Thanks. Thanks, Patriots.
But yeah, thanks, Patriots. Right? But
you owe us a lot.
But we ain't got no beef with the Giants. We can root for the Giants, right? And I know some people are going to be in the comments. Well, the Raiders should have took care of business themselves, which I understand too. Which I get it, but like they need help now. So sometimes you got to ask for help.
Me being a defense guy, this Giants defense. Just a quick aside before we get too off the rails here. This is like a top 5 defense. This is one of the most fun defenses to watch in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
I mean, they do a lot of fun stuff over there, man. Yeah. If you watch our stuff every week, we talk about simulated pressures. So they send four guys, but it might be like a nickel, but then a defensive end drops, so it's still a 4-man rush, but it feels like a blitz. They do that probably better than any team in the NFL right now. Giants are the goods on defense, at least. Their offense is struggling, obviously, but that's a fun team to watch. So yeah, hopefully they get it done against the Browns. Hopefully they take care of business. They're definitely trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's funny because you saying me being the optimist this week, we had some people in the comments getting upset with me saying like, does BD think the Raiders can't win any games? He never is optimistic, and why can't he just be a fan and all this stuff? So that's funny that you said that.
You switched it up, man. You're just responding to feedback. You're responding to feedback.
No, hopefully that guy who wrote that comes back and apologizes this week, because now you see what I was being pessimistic about. All right.
I know it is funny. I mean, like, our moods, like, I mean, we just watched the film, so it's like our moods change once, I mean, 1 week if we watch the Jets, it's gonna be different than we watch the Colts. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna be like, oh, it's because then somebody said we were too easy on the Jets. It was like, well, it's Jets tape. What are you supposed to do, right? And then you got to see the Colts tape, and we're like, oh crap.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh,
this is a good team, right?
And there's some guys making one-handed interceptions like this. It's just,
that's one of the sickest interceptions of all time. But I mean, I have to be optimistic. I've been a big critic. I've had a lot of criticisms of Paul Guenther. So him getting fired, you got to. I'm the defense guy. You got to be optimistic about that. At least we're going to see some kind of change. Might not be a good change, but we're going to see some change. So that's welcome on my end for sure.
Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting, because I mean, what if they change and they actually play effective? I mean, because if they keep teams like around like 25 points, like a whole game, not like whatever. If they can keep teams at 25 points, I mean, I think the Raiders got a good chance to win. I mean, because that's more possessions for this offense that's really good. Offenses need more possessions. I mean, this offense should be running 70 plays a game, but they're running like, I'm probably like 55 to 60 when I chart average. So like against the Colts, they ran like 20 plays, like 22 plays in the first half, and they put up 14 points, and they almost put up 21 if they got to make that incredible interception. Yeah. So they need the ball back. So if the defense can't stop anybody, this offense can't get the ball back that is explosive. So the defense puts so much pressure on the offense that they got to score. Like, and that's a lot of pressure. I mean, when you have that, like, if we don't score, it's a failure. Or if we don't go get points, it's a failed drive. If we don't go get 7, it's a total failure. Which, I mean, I feel that's like that with every drive, and it probably should be like typically. But not everything's perfect. They play defense too. You know what I mean? And sometimes
they have to be perfect, but this defense, they have to be perfect.
Exactly. Like, and they can't turn like
the pressure off them. Yeah.
Like let's say, I mean, when they went up 34-20, right? and then Renfro fumbled. Like, who knows if Renfro doesn't fumble, who knows what happens on that drive? They go down to score. It's 34-27. You don't know what happens, but that he fumbled. That's game, bro. Like they can't afford to have a fumble. You can't, and they can't afford to have those things. I mean, if they want to keep up, you know what I mean. So, but I think this is a different team. The Chargers. I mean, the Raiders are better. I mean, it was debatable with the Colts if they're better or not. We kind of saw where they're at with that, but it's that's still more about turnovers to me too. If they don't turn the ball over that much, I mean, if that guy doesn't make that, if he just knocks the ball up or something, he just knocks it away. Instead of, even though Kenny Moore, he was not trying to knock the ball away. He like timed that jump. He was like, okay, I'm gonna time this and I'm gonna catch this ball. And I watched it like 10 times. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he did that.
Yeah.
One, I couldn't believe that they dropped off like that, because I was like, that. I'm sure Derek Carr was like, what the hell? What the hell just happened? Like, where did he come from? I'm sure that's what I'm sure exactly what he thought. And that's what people were like, the throw itself. It was like, well, the throw wasn't very good. Well, like, I don't think Carr expected him to beat that. I think Carr was like, I'm just gonna drop this. And this linebacker's not gonna be
6. Yeah,
that's 6. He's like, that's 6. He probably saw that pre-snap. He's like, linebacker's on Weller. Oh,
it's over. Yeah,
it's a 6, and it was just so that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was. If the Raiders have some clean football, and these next couple of weeks, I mean, 1 turnover is not bad. We just can't have the 3. They can't have the 3 turnovers in a game. They can't do that right now. If they can play clean football, man, I think they could still finish strong. But we'll see, bro.
Switching up gears here before we get out of here. Do you have any defensive coordinators that you'd like to see the Raiders take or hire next year?
Off the top of my head,
any opinions? Here, let me go first.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
I think there's a strong scenario where Marinelli sticks around and is the defensive coordinator next year, especially if the Raiders play great defense like the last 3 games, right? Which would be a miracle considering how many guys are hurt, right?
Yeah.
And just like the momentum is not on their side at all. So if Marinelli, say Marinelli starts getting these guys to actually play like just a middling defense, which is all the Raiders really need to like win a game, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's a strong chance that he sticks around next year. A lot of people are saying Wade Phillips. And at first I was like, well, okay, now you need to draft a whole bunch of edge rushers, sign a whole bunch of edge rushers in free agency who are 3-4 types, but the more I thought about it, I think Cleveland Farrell he could play that big, heavy defensive end in 3-4. Maybe use Max Crosby as one of those edge rushers. Vic Beasley, if he sticks around next year, Takk McKinley, one of those guys can be, a 3-4 outside linebacker type of guy. It probably wouldn't be as Jonathan Hankins obviously could play that 0 technique in a 3-4 or the 1 technique in a 3-4. So it wouldn't be like, once I started thinking about it, I was like, okay, maybe it wouldn't be as much of a personnel shift as I was thinking it would be initially. And then if you go back to all the way to 2006, Wade Phillips defenses have only finished outside of the top 12 1 time. And everyone's saying all the Raiders need is just a average defense, right? You're gonna get that at least. At worst, you're gonna get that with Wade Phillips. So
one thing I want to say about Wade Phillips. One thing I do want to say about Wade Phillips, because I mean, you talk about San Diego, right? We go all the way back to San Diego Cowboys, and then you go back. Then you go to
Houston,
where was he at? Houston,
Denver,
and then Denver, and then you go to the Rams. Now, let's talk about the edge rushers he had. Okay, let's talk about this first. So San Diego, Sean Merriman.
and the other guy, Phillips, right? Justin.
Yeah,
Phillips?
Sean Phillips. Sean Phillips. Okay, those dudes are probably pretty. That was a pretty good damn tandem.
They were dominant back there.
They were dominant. Then we get to Dallas. DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we get to Houston. We got the Watt. And then you got who else did he have out there who was playing outside?
I mean, he had Jadeveon Clowney, he had right.
Well, he didn't have Clowney then. I forgot who he had. I forgot, but he had some. He had like Watt and all those guys. Okay, then he gets to Denver. He has Ware. and he has Von Miller. And then we get to LA, and he's got Aaron Donald. So I'm just he always has a blue chipper.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of hard to judge how good he could make some of these guys, because a lot of these guys the Raiders have are not blue chippers. So
No, none of
that's
them.
always my thing with Wade. Yeah.
None
Is
of them.
Wade a great coordinator? Yeah, but does Wade know how to make Von Miller great? Yes, but there's no Von Miller kind of walking through that door. So that's only my thing with Wade. Like I don't know if Wade could just make this group, like they would have to get like a big time defensive end. I think like a big time. They'd have to like hope like somebody like Joseph Asai or something like that from Texas they could draft if they got him, and that could
Wade
actually.
Phillips wants a veteran. He doesn't want a rookie, guaranteed.
Yeah, but
But okay, so last one then.
okay.
Before we get out of here, if you go into the college ranks here, okay, there's no Gruden connection, so probably this is not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been paying attention to Jim Leonard. He's the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin. He used to be a safety in the NFL. He played safety for the Jets. Okay.
Okay.
Wisconsin defense is probably the best defense in college football right now, or at least top 5.
Yeah.
They've only been scored on 8 times all year. He runs a very, well, I mean, they played a shortened season in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, that's true, but still, damn.
Yeah, they're legit. Plays a very cutting edge scheme. A lot of mint front. You can DM me and ask me about what that entails. Some 3 deep safety looks, stuff like that Phil Snow has brought with Carolina to the NFL, and it has worked a little bit. So when you look at Phil Snow, he was a good college coordinator, and then he's had some good results. I think the NFL is kind of, ready to see what these really good college coordinators can do.
Mm-hmm.
That Dave Aranda's, Brett Venables is never going to leave Clemson, but
No,
some of these other guys, Jim Leonard, I think he's gotten in the NFL because he actually played in the NFL. He does a really good job over there with Wisconsin and their defense, very cutting edge scheme. I would be ecstatic if the Raiders could get someone like that, to be their defensive coordinator next year, just a modern guy. So yeah, I mean, we're saying all this and it's probably gonna be Marinelli, even regardless.
No, that's the funny part.
Yeah, but we'll see. Just
Raiders fans. I was gonna ask, is Monty Kiffin still alive? Is Monty Kiffin still alive?
Right. It'll be Monty Kiffin and Marinelli. Oh God.
I mean, it might be Raheem Morris. I mean, that could be an option too. I mean, that's kind of a.
I would love that. I would love
something like that. So somebody like that, or maybe he even calls Ainsley from Tennessee
and gives him the job back. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the same way as you. I want somebody young. I want somebody. I'm tired of old. I just watched what the Rams are doing, and they went out and they took a chance on a Fangio. Vic Fangio's kind of understudy, right?
Yeah,
they took a chance on him, and look what he's doing. With that team, he's got that team playing fantastic. I mean, that's
a college style scheme that they run there.
Yeah.
I really want the college schemes. They're ready to come to the NFL.
Yeah.
There's no great NFL scheme right now on defense. There really isn't. It's just about players. It's about dominant players making game-changing plays. And you see all these high-powered NFL offenses. They run college-style stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
But the Chiefs
defenses don't run any college-style defenses. So I think at some point a dam's going to break, and you're going to see some of these guys come in and run this stuff in the NFL, and it's going to be, it's going to be more successful. Obviously, hashes are closer together. Quarterbacks are way better. There's like things that don't necessarily translate, but yeah, I mean, the scoring is up across the NFL right now. I think it's like 20 teams average more than 25 points a game or 24 points a game or something.
It's 18.
18 teams. So, I mean, everyone has a great offense now, or at least everyone has points that are, is able to score points.
Mm-hmm.
Because defenses haven't changed in the NFL. Unfortunately, it's very rare to see schematic changes on defense. So hopefully we get away from these, the old men that are doing it and get some young guys in there. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the Rams are the perfect example, man. I mean, the way Phillips left, they brought in a young guy, kind of with the same. I mean, it's basically the same personnel. I mean, they added Leonard Floyd and they got rid of Corey Littleton, but uh, I mean, same scheme. Yeah, no, it's not the same scheme, but I mean, he came in there, he changed the scheme. They run a lot of quarters. They play a lot of. You're right. They play a lot of college stuff. Yep,
Yeah.
college, and they're super effective. It's hard to pass the ball on them. It's hard to run. I mean, they're just a really, really good defense, and I think that should be the sign of anything. Because I think, I'm crazy. I'm a psycho, but I'm thinking like maybe even go after Belichick's son. What is he doing? Like, what is he scheming up there? What is he learning? He's probably got some, right? He's already got some good schemes, hit up Bill. You're like, what's up with your son? What is he doing down there? Give him a shot. I mean, like he's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like a young guy like that has a fresh mind. He's learned from his dad. He's learned a lot from his dad. One thing he's learned from his dad that he's not going to go into he's not going to have a set scheme, right? He's going to adjust. He's going to adjust his game plan to who he's playing. He's going to always be prepared. It's things like that. That's the type of guys that I think that should go pluck. Like, okay, you got to understudy under some of these guys. You got some young guys on these staffs, and I think you just got to take a chance on some of these guys. Like somebody like that, like just call up Steve Belichick and be like, would you take the defense coordinator job? Because maybe he might be holding out for the head coach job. I don't know what he's holding out for, but he's kind of the defense coordinator and he's learning things, but maybe he wants to go on his own and be a defense coordinator himself. And I hate nepotism, but hey,
our guy, well, that wouldn't even be nepotism, because John Gruden's nepotism is, have I worked with you in the past, and our guy, Matt Holder, shout out to Matt. He said it. He was like, isn't it so sad that the only defensive coordinators that we can even like wrap our heads around is if there's a connection to Gruden in the past. I really hope exactly what you're saying. They interview a bunch of guys that have no connection to Gruden. Okay.
Yeah.
Find out who's, the mental mindset, waking up at 2 a.m. to, get to work and crying in the film and everything like that. They find one of those guys that fits culturally, and they just let him do his thing, let him cook over there on the defensive side of the ball. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's a strong chance that does not happen. So
it's very strong.
That's the discouraging part of it. But yeah,
very strong.
We went over this time, Raiders, Raider fans all over the world. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. Tell us we're stupid. Tell us, we're not being optimistic enough. We're not good fans. Or tell us that you like the show, whatever it is. We read some of the comments. Sometimes we reply. So we appreciate all that. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow my boy Marcus. He's the offensive guy on Twitter at @TheMarkJohnNFL. You can follow myself, BD Williams 18. I'm the defense guy. Shout out Raider Nation. We appreciate you guys. Much love.
Peace.